Hola a todos! Let's look at the 150-word writing question in the Edexcel GCC Spanish writing paper. I will be doing an example question to walk you through it and show you how to get full marks. Most of this video will be applicable to AQA students as well, but I'll be using an Edexcel style exam question. In Edexcel, you get 4 bullet points, and in AQA, you only get 2, so that's the biggest difference. Vale, vamos. So, starting off by planning is always the first thing. I'm going to do my entire plan in blue. So let's actually translate the questions here. So, escribe un artículo sobre las vacaciones. Debes mencionar los siguientes puntos. Lo que piensas sobre ir de vacaciones. So, what you think about going on holiday, pretty much, about going on holiday. The next one, lo que hiciste durante el invierno pasado. So lo que again is sort of just your what. So what you did this time. Hiciste is in the preterite tense from the verb hacer. Quite an important verb actually. So what you did during or just last winter is invierno. This one is si prefieres. So if you prefer, again, to go on vacation or to go on holiday. Con tu familia o con tus amigos, so with your family or with your friends. I'm just going to write with family slash friends, so whichever one you prefer there. And the final bullet, is final question, bullet point, whatever you want to call it. ¿Dónde quieres ir el año que viene? So where you want to go. Oops. El año que viene is next year. It's quite a common phrase or common way of saying next year. El año que viene. Vale? So the first thing I've done is translated the 4 bullet points. Then let's think about the tenses for each bullet point. So on the left here, I'm going to write the tense that each bullet point is in, the main tense. So first one, you can tell by the verb here, piensas. This is just the normal present tense. So when I answer, majority of my answer will be in the present tense, but I can and should add extra tenses to get more marks. Hiciste is the preterite tense and also is talking about the past. So it's going to be the PRET, I'm writing that for short for the preterite tense. Then, si prefieres ir de vacaciones, this is in the present tense. And lastly, ¿dónde quieres ir el año que viene? This is the normal future tense. Okay, so automatically or normally, the 4 bullet points will cover the 3 time frames of something in the past, present, and future, but we should add extra tenses to get pretty much more marks and to get higher marks for the like grammar section, for vocabulary, grammar, and tenses, and that sort of thing. So with the first bullet point, present tense, we're going to mainly use the present tense. Second one, the preterite tense, etc. So I'm going to have a quick think about what other tenses I can use in each bullet point and make a note of that. I do it in red here. So with the preterite, I like to compare with the past, with the imperfect. So I'm going to write there preterite plus imperfect. So in the second bullet point, I'll try and sort of squeeze in some imperfect tense there to use up an extra tense. Third one, si prefieres, that one I will just leave in the present tense. Future is a good one to add sort of subjunctive and the conditional, so I'm going to write subjunctive and probably end up using the imperfect subjunctive, words like tuviera, fuera, and I will end up using the conditional there as well. So there I've written sort of the extra tenses that I will plan to use in my plan to make sure I get slightly higher marks. Lastly, in terms of planning, I'm going to think about how I can answer each question, just roughly whether in English or Spanish, what am I going to say to answer each question. So with the first one, what I think about going on holiday, I'm going to say it's important, importante. Let's just give one reason here quickly, just as part of my plan. I'm going to say you can learn about other cultures. So as a bare minimum, I've answered the question in my plan. So when I go to write, I won't be sort of stuck thinking about the reason. I've already got something to start off with here. So learn about other cultures. Then what I did last winter, let's say I went somewhere. Let's say I went to Spain. So like fui a España. So that could be my sort of starting point for that one. Third one, si prefieres if you prefer going on holiday with your family or friends, I'm gonna pick friends. And a reason that I will give is, what can we say? Stuff like they help me, they support me. I'm going to use they make me laugh. Me hacen reír. They make me laugh. As a quick note there of my reason for why I'm picking my friends. And then lastly, where you want to go next year. Let's pick a place. Let's pick a country. Let's go for America. I'm going to pick specifically Nueva York, being New York. Okay, or just Los Estados Unidos. So I've already sort of made up the decision before I start writing, so I can sort of just focus on the writing part, sort of the creativity or thinking about what I can say generally to answer the question. Last but not least, I've done this before. I think it's a good idea of making a note of some phrases that I'm going to use, again, to focus on getting the marks for communication, content, and grammar and vocabulary. So things like además, también, you always should be using to link your sentences. Diría que is a good sentence starter. 3 ways of saying because, so porque, dado que, and ya que. If you already know these, you may not need to sort of write it down each time, but I think it's a good idea before you sort of start the question. You've got a lot of time in this sort of paper to go slowly and plan out your question. So give yourself little reminders like a checklist to make sure you get so as high marks as possible. I'm going to make a reminder to write an exclamation, something like que genial as an example, as like some sort of like exclamative sentence. I'm going to refer to other people. It's always a good idea if you sort of get stuck on what to say, refer to others like your family, your friends, etc. What else can I use? I'm gonna use a subjunctive phrase. I might write that one down actually. We can use something like si pudiera for the imperfect subjunctive, or si tuviera something. So just little reminders for myself as I go into writing. Idioms, I may choose to use some idioms as well. Okay, that's going to be my plan. So I've spent a couple of minutes there planning this question. Now let's get into writing, shall we? So starting off with the first bullet point, I'm going to answer in 4 separate paragraphs. I'm going to write my answers in black just to be basic. So lo que piensas sobre ir de vacaciones. I've said it's important, so I'm going to start off by saying, in my opinion, it's important, blah, blah, blah. Let's use another one for in my opinion. We can say pienso que, creo que, but I think let's use this one, diría que. So I would say that is diría que, and sort of copy some of the words in the sentence there, so, or the question. So diría que ir de vacaciones, like from time to time, or like sometimes, de vez en cuando, I'm going to use for time to time. So saying going on holiday sometimes is important. So diría que ir de vacaciones de vez en cuando es importante. Or I guess I could put the time phrase here after es importante. It works both ways. Es importante, and the reason why, para, we've said one thing about learning about new cultures. Es importante para abrir la mente, so open your mind, y aprender, so learn about, aprender, oops, my handwriting's not very good. Aprender sobre, let's start on your head. Aprender sobre otras culturas. So just other cultures. It's a feminine noun, so I'm using otras culturas, both feminine sort of adjective there, and culturas is feminine and plural. So that is one sentence there. Let's write a bit more. Why else would I say it's important to go on holiday? Let's use también to link to the next sentence. También, I like learning languages. Can we go down that route of learning languages? And yeah, let's say that. So también me chifla. We could have used me gusta, me encanta, but me chifla is a bit more sort of slang version, even more complex. Me chifla aprender like new languages. I'm going to use idiomas, so nuevos idiomas is a masculine noun, even though it ends in a or as. Nuevos idiomas y practicarlos, practice them. So I'm using a direct object pronoun. So practice them in the country, and el país, I guess, is one way of ending that. So I could have repeated Idiomas again, here, but I chose to swap it out for los instead to say practice it or practice them in the country. Um, Continuing on, I've given sort of 3 reasons there. Let's add someone else's opinion. So, además, just to write a couple of more words for this paragraph here. So, además, mi madre dice que, always a good way of referring to someone else. Mi madre dice que ir de vacaciones, so like the actual question, we're talking about ir de vacaciones, helps you to, what can we say, like make new friends. I've mentioned sort of open your mind, try new food maybe. I said, además, mi madre dice que ir de vacaciones te ayuda. I'm going to go simple. I'm going to say descansar. I like this word here. It means to rest. So descansar. We also have un descanso, which is a rest. So a good noun there to use. For example, necesito un descanso. I need a rest. Is a useful sort of expression or reason to give in a writing or speaking exam. Anyway, here I'm going to use the infinitive, descansar. So yeah, going on holiday helps you to relax. Let's now give an opposite view. Sin embargo, a sort of a negative view about holidays is going to be it's expensive. So, sin embargo, instead of repeating ir de vacaciones, let's rephrase it slightly. Let's use the verb viajar. It's a very key verb to travel. Viajar a like other countries, otros países, es caro. It is expensive. Okay? Barato is the word for cheap, caro is expensive. And actually, instead of just caro, let's make it even slightly better and use the ending isimo. This exaggerates it. It's really expensive. Es carissimo instead of just caro. Good. So that would sort of be my first paragraph there. I want to add after this, like, I wish I had more money. So let's say that. Ojalá is a good word to use at GCSE to introduce the subjunctive. Ojalá tuviera. The imperfect subjunctive, I've already used this very easily here. Ojalá tuviera más dinero. I wish I had more money to supposedly be able to go on these holidays. Let's say that and use the exclamation marks there to show it's like a standalone exclamative sentence. Okay, so that's the first paragraph there. Let's continue to the second paragraph, which is about what I did. So in the present tense, last winter. Let's say I'm saying I went to Spain, isn't it? Yeah, I went to Spain. So fui a España. I'm going to start off by using the same words they give you, which is el invierno pasado. I'm going to do it as a separate paragraph. I would always recommend that. Give yourself a space in between and start on the next line. So el invierno pasado. I went to Spain. Fui a España. What did I do in Spain? I'm going to talk about some monuments. I'm going to mention La Sagrada Familia, which is like a massive building in Barcelona. I think it's like a church. So, y visité. So, I visited La Sagrada Familia. Using names of places of proper nouns is perfectly fine, but try and write it in Spanish if you can. So, for example, Londres instead of London. Not all places have a Spanish version, but some of them do. So, La Sagrada Familia, full stop. I had a great time. Let's say lo pasé. Have I said my family? No, I went on my own. So lo pasé genial. It's also a good idea in especially specifically the travel topic. There's a section actually in the knowledge organizer that I always talk about. I'll link in the description about negatives about your holiday and sort of things that went wrong. So I'm going to say lo pasé genial, pero el like any day, the first day, for example, el primer día, I lost my passport. So let's go down a narrative of something that went wrong on my holiday, just to develop my answers and write something a bit interesting. Something that other students would not use these sorts of words, so it would count as uncommon language. Marx comes to el primer día, perdí mi, what should I say? I lost my, I was going to say passport. Let's use phone because it makes a bit more sense maybe. So I sort of came back, only lost my phone. Anyway, perdí mi móvil. So I've got a bit of something interesting happening in the sentence, using words that other students would not use. Barely me more. I've conjugated that in the present tense. I lost my phone. What else can we say? Let's use the imperfect tense like I plan to in my plan. You don't have to follow your plan perfectly, obviously, but it's a good idea if you can. So to introduce the imperfect tense, always going to use the same thing. Cuando era pequeño, when I was younger. Let's compare sort of the past and the present. So maybe when I was younger, I didn't like something as much. So no me gustaba. What can I say? I did not used to like monuments, like for example, yeah, monuments because I've mentioned La Sagrada Familia. No me gustaba nada. I didn't like at all visitar los monumentos. Or we could say los lugares de interés. Lugares de interés is another way of saying the same thing, the idea of monuments. Let's just say compared to nowadays. So pero hoy en día is nowadays, pero hoy en día me encanta. I'm going to just be really clear and say, hoy en día me encanta ver los lugares de interés. I don't want to repeat monumentos again, so I'll just pick something else. Los lugares de interés, a synonym for that. Just to make it really clear. You can stop after me encanta, but I think it sounds better if you're making it clear what you're talking about by sort of repeating the main idea again. So, but nowadays, I love to see places of interest. Okay? I'll leave it there for the second paragraph. You do not need to write the same amount for every bullet point. So if there's one in particular you want to write more about, that's perfectly fine, as long as you cover each bullet point to some extent. So I'd say write at least a sentence or half for each bullet point so that you've at least covered it. Okay, on to the third paragraph now. So if you prefer going on holiday with your family or with your friends, I've picked friends and because they make me laugh. So I've got my start to my paragraph there. So in my opinion, a mi parecer is a really nice way of saying, very similar to en mi opinión, but it's slightly different. It's like saying in my view, a mi parecer, prefiero, and then using the words back in the bullet point, prefiero ir de vacaciones con mis amigos. It's not going to be tus, it's going to be mis, obviously my friends. Con mis amigos. Ya que is a better way of saying because than just porque. So ya que they make me laugh, right? Me hacen reír. I'm going to add a siempre before that. They always make me laugh. And then I can just copy down what I said in my plan. Me hacen reír if they make me laugh. Full stop. So I've now answered the bullet point in one sentence. That is technically enough. I'm going to write a bit more. And now I can sort of go slightly away from the bullet point and talk about other things related, but not specifically answering the bullet point, as long as I've got one sentence that does the trick. Let's give a negative like we did in one of the earlier paragraphs saying sin embargo. Let's give a flip side. Let's say desafortunadamente, which is unfortunately, desafortunadamente. There's another way of saying it, which is por desgracia. Gracia. So to start off a sentence with unfortunately, I don't get on well with, we can say, with my parents, and that's why I don't want to travel with my family. That's why I haven't picked my family. So desafortunadamente no me, I'm going to use llevo bien. No me llevo bien con mis padres, my parents. Let's give a reason. Porque no apoyan, they don't support. It's a good verb here. No apoyan. You can say no me apoyan. You could say that, or no apoyan like my decisions, mis decisiones. Can we stop there? I think we can. So unfortunately I don't get on well with my parents because they don't support my decisions. And if you're going to say something negative, you might as well put an exclamative, sort of que triste in there. How sad. Vale? And that is roughly looks enough for that paragraph there. Moving on to the final paragraph, which is where you want to go in the future. So a future tense, so we can use the conditional and subjunctive again. Let's use what they say. So el año que viene is in the bullet point, isn't it? El año que viene. Where do I want to go? Oh, Nueva York. Sí, America, Nueva York. Vale. So el año que viene quiero ir a Nueva York because, let's use Yaque again. Why do I want to go to New York? Let's say, let's go food. So trying the food. Yaque, so probar is the verb I'm going to use to try or to taste. Food in this case, probar comida. Ya que siempre he soñado, I have dreamt of. This phrase is a very nice phrase. I've always dreamt of. Siempre he soñado con probar la comida. And then to say American is quite a long word. Estadounidense is how you say it. Estado, so estadounidense. It's quite a long spelling there. But that word pretty much just means American. It's a funny looking word, but it means American. Vale? So American food. I want to try the American food. I will. What else can we say? Future tense. I will go. I will travel. Let's explain the trip a little bit. So viajar, viajaré. Quizás I will travel. Mode of transport. Let's pick viajaría. So viajaré en avión. And then like again because you need also because it's to justify your opinions where possible. So dado que es rápido y cómodo. Is that enough detail? Let's add one more sentence about accommodation. I like using the verb alojarse to show sort of where you're going to stay, which means to stay. So me alojaré, to conjugate that reflexive verb from se to me. So me alojaré en un hotel grande, we can say. Or if I go back, en un hotel de 5 estrellas, of 5 stars. So lots of little bits of vocabulary you can add in just to make your writing a bit more interesting and use better reasons and adjectives than other students. So en un hotel de 5 estrellas, full stop. Okay, that looks like it would be enough. 4 paragraphs with each bullet point. Now let's quickly just go back to my plan, make sure I haven't sort of missed anything that I could add. So we've used además and también, because exclamations, I've used quite a few of those referring to people. I've said mi madre. Subjunctive, let's add a subjunctive towards the end. With the future tense bullet point, it is quite easy to use a subjunctive here, as I will do in just a second. So it's always good to leave or have subjunctive towards the end. So I've said a hotel of 5 stars, something else. Además, si tuviera, if I had the opportunity, la oportunidad, I would do something. We can use the conditional tense here. I'm going to say I would go. Iría a some country. Para is your way of showing purpose. So in this case, it means like in order to. Para ver mi familia or ver mis abuelos, my grandparents. Let me pick a country here. So I would go to Mexico. Voy a decir Mexico. ¿Vale? If I cross that line out, oops. Vale. I'm going to leave it there. I'll put on screen how many words this is, but it looks like more than 150. Even if you write it slightly less than 150, it doesn't matter too much as long as it's close. I'd recommend aim for around close to 200 words just to make sure it's safe that you've definitely written enough in terms of answering the bullet points and your vocabulary is good enough. But you do not need to write anywhere near like 300, 400. Don't write too much because you will run out of time and you're more likely to make mistakes. Vale? Cool. Just to add, I've put the mark scheme on screen. You get up to 16 marks for communication and content and up to 12 marks for linguistic knowledge and accuracy. And that's all for this video. Subscribe for more and visit astarspanish.com/tutoring for Spanish lessons with me. Adios!